Welcome to Ping 24. Updates. Your daily dose of what's happening around the world. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. The turquoise waters of the Sulu and South China Seas shimmer with tension, not just sunlight. Warships from the Philippines and Malaysia are locked in a dangerous standoff near the disputed Spratly Islands. A Philippine corvette has challenged a Malaysian patrol vessel, sparking diplomatic protests and fiery statements from both sides. Satellite images show the vessels circling each other, a tense ballet with potentially deadly consequences. For coastal communities in Palawan and Sabah, this is not just politics, it's their home and future at stake. This is a perfect storm. Historic grievances, resource competition, and rising nationalism. The coming days will decide if they step back or plunge into the abyss. To understand today's crisis, we must go back to 1878. The Sultan of Sulu signed an agreement with a British syndicate for the territory now known as Sabah. The dispute centers on one word in the original text, pajak. The Philippines says pajak means lease, not cession. Malaysia points to the English version, which uses CD. Malaysia pays a token sum to the Sultan's heirs, rent to the Philippines, cession payment to Malaysia. In 1963, Sabah joined Malaysia, but the dispute remains deeply emotional. The 1878 deal still haunts the region. The legal battle over Sabah is a maze of old treaties and modern law. The Philippines argues the 1878 treaty was a lease, not a sale, and that sovereignty was never surrendered. They cite continued annual payments from Malaysia as proof the contract is still alive. A recent European arbitration court sided with the Sultan's heirs, ordering Malaysia to pay billions, a ruling Malaysia rejects. Malaysia's defense rests on self-determination. In 1962, a British commission found Sabah's people wanted to join Malaysia. Malaysia insists the English version of the treaty, using seed, is binding, and decades of international recognition seal the case. Sabah has been governed as a Malaysian state since 1963, with representation in parliament and UN recognition. For Kuala Lumpur, the legal case is closed by fact and the will of Sabah's people. The Philippines sees the ongoing payments and arbitration as validation of their claim. Both sides present plausible arguments, which is why the dispute endures. The legal quagmire is as much about identity as law. Each side accuses the other of clinging to outdated grievances. The result, a stalemate with no easy solution. Beyond politics, the Sabah dispute disrupts daily life for thousands. Fishermen risk arrest or violence for crossing invisible maritime lines. In Sabah, many residents of Filipino descent, some undocumented, face suspicion and discrimination when tensions rise. Political rhetoric from Manila can make life harder for these communities, fueling mistrust and fear. Informal cross-border trade, vital for local economies, grinds to a halt during flare-ups. Businesses suffer, and livelihoods are threatened as security tightens. The potential for cooperation in tourism and trade is lost to suspicion and military posturing. The greatest cost is the erosion of peace and stability in the region. ASEAN unity is undermined, and a small incident could spiral out of control. Ordinary people pay the price for a conflict rooted in the past. The human toll is measured in lost opportunities and constant uncertainty. The 2013 Lahad Datu incident is a stark warning of how quickly this dispute can turn violent. 200 armed followers of the self-proclaimed Sultan of Sulu landed in Sabah, aiming to reclaim ancestral land. Malaysian forces responded with a major offensive after weeks of tense standoff. The village became a war zone. Dozens died, including militants and Malaysian security forces. The incursion was crushed, but the scars remain. For Malaysia, it was a shocking breach of security, prompting a military buildup in Sabah. For the Philippines, it was a wake-up call about the dangers of fringe groups acting on historical claims. The violence hardened positions on both sides, making compromise even harder. Lahad Datu proved the Sabah claim is not just theoretical, it can inspire bloodshed. The legacy heightened security, deeper mistrust, and a warning to leaders to manage the dispute with caution. Rhetoric and history can quickly escalate into tragedy. The cost of miscalculation is measured in lives lost. The crisis is shaped by the leaders at the helm. In Manila, a nationalist administration uses strong rhetoric to assert maritime claims, playing to domestic audiences. This approach is seen as provocative by Malaysia, fueling a cycle of escalation. Public posturing makes quiet diplomacy harder as leaders risk losing face. In Kuala Lumpur, leaders project calm and stability, dismissing the Philippine claim as settled. Malaysia avoids public debate, quietly reinforcing security in Sabah. This silence can be seen as arrogance in the Philippines, deepening mistrust. The contrast, one side loud and emotional, the other quiet but unyielding. Both reinforce their own narratives, speaking past each other. The result, a dangerous communication gap and a deepening chasm of misunderstanding. Tensions are backed by military modernization on both sides. The Philippines, once regionally weak, is rapidly upgrading its navy and air force to deter threats. New warships and jets allow more assertive patrols in disputed waters. Malaysia, with a more advanced military, has boosted its presence in Sabah since Lahad Datu. Both sides see each other's buildup as a threat, fueling an arms race. The risk more powerful weapons and aggressive patrols increase the chance of accidental clashes. A minor incident could quickly spiral out of control. Military commanders are on high alert, and engagement protocols are more aggressive. Nationalism and history drive the arms race, turning the sea into a powder keg. Both claim to arm for peace, but the danger of conflict grows. The region is on edge, with each side watching the other's moves. The line between deterrence and provocation is razor thin. The Sabah dispute is entangled in the US-China rivalry for Indo-Pacific influence. The Philippines relies on its mutual defense treaty with the US, receiving aid and support. This alliance emboldens Manila but complicates Washington's position, as it avoids taking sides on Sabah. Malaysia views US support warily, seeing it as indirect encouragement for the Philippine claim. China, meanwhile, expands its economic and political influence in both countries. Beijing stays quiet on Sabah, preferring to keep Southeast Asia divided and distracted from its own claims. The great power rivalry turns a regional dispute into a proxy arena. Both Manila and Kuala Lumpur must weigh every move against the reactions of Washington and Beijing. External pressure makes compromise harder and raises the stakes. The Sabah dispute is now a pawn in a global chess match. The people of the region are caught in the middle. The future of the Sabah dispute hangs in the balance. Three paths lie ahead: renewed cooperation, open conflict, or continued uneasy peace. Diplomacy is the best hope. Joint resource development, security cooperation, and peaceful legal resolution. The nightmare is open conflict. A single miscalculation could ignite war, shattering regional stability and drawing in outside powers. Most likely is a fragile truce, periods of calm, flare-ups, and constant tension. This is not true peace, but a state of perpetual low-level conflict. Economic cooperation suffers, and ordinary people live in uncertainty. The ghost of the 1878 treaty continues to haunt the region. The choice rests with the leaders and people of both nations. Diplomacy requires seeing the other side's perspective and prioritizing the future over the past. The alternative, remain trapped in suspicion and rivalry, risking the next crisis spiraling out of control. The Sulu Sea stands at a crossroads. The world is watching, hoping wisdom prevails over history.